Man Stadium's Russ Dorsey with us. So let's just get this out of the way first because the poll's running right now. I just voted. So at the end of the Rangers game, well, I think it was like in the 7th maybe when it started, whenever it got a little out of hand, the wave starts going. And the wave actually was running in the NLCS too. So
they love the wave in Arizona, don't they?
Yes, they did. And there were multiple writers that called it out and they were like, all right, whatever. Clearly it doesn't matter. So I'm not talking about performance. I'm not talking about if it affects players on the field. Just straight up, Russ, are you a fan of it? Like if you're sitting next to someone and they're like, yo, should we start the wave? And I guess you can give me two scenarios. It's close or it's not close. What are you saying? What are your thoughts?
I'm out on the wave. Completely out. Right? Okay. Like if I'm going to a baseball game and I don't feel like I'm a weirdo for just wanting to watch the product on the field. And if I'm there enjoying time with friends, cool, I'm doing that. But I don't want to get up and do the wave and then you got to wait for your section. Is everybody going to Guys, let's just watch the game, please. That's why we're here.
Gosh, you are a party pooper, dude.
I'm the same way.
You are a party. Have some fun. Live in the moment.
AJ, first of all, you know me and you know I'm fun. But dude, I'm not paying these premium prices to do wave.
First of all, after the tweets you were putting out there hating on the Bears, I don't know that you're any fun anymore.
No Bears.
Well, that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah. Brock Holt said this weekend, Kratz, that he doesn't like it either, but when he takes his son, he's into it. So he's like, I'll participate, you know?
I like it. To each their own. Have you ever seen the one in Milwaukee where it like goes, like two of them go one way and then it comes back? And like Milwaukee has they have some serious wave aesthetics.
Why do the wave hate, though? I don't understand. Why does everyone hate the wave so much?
Because everyone has to participate in it. It's not like, you do your thing.
You don't have to participate. You just
Russ.
You're just that person like at the craps table that bets the don't pass line. That's you. And Russ, for that matter.
Goes all in every time at the poker table.
No, you guys bet the don't pass line where everyone's, yeah, let's go. We need an 8, hard 8. There's Russ and Scott going, no, we want the 7 so we can win.
Russ, do you agree? For me, it's just like, yeah, okay, people want to do their thing, but then like everyone's sitting there, they're looking around at you. It's annoying.
Yeah, people, and you know, people aren't just letting you not participate, AJ. That's the thing. Like, it's not just, you can do your own thing. No, people are going to start jeering you. What's going on? Why aren't you participating? You got the whole section. Dude, I'm trying to watch the game, actually. That's why I'm not participating.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's like such a thing, but whatever. If people want to do their thing, what I said was, it's a blowout. The game's very much over at that point. Whatever had happened, it was like 7 runs already or whatever it was. I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. The game's over. People are doing their thing. I don't think they're like as locked into the game at that point.
Derek had a good point though. It's more fun like when they do like the Homer hankies or like the chop or then the rally monkey and they beat their two little plastic things together.
That's different for me. That's cheering. That's like
the coolest thing.
Impact the game, make a lot of noise.
The coolest thing in baseball is when the Braves at night when they do they shut off the lights and all the fans have their phone and they're doing the chop and it's pretty. Yeah, if you haven't seen it in person, it is awesome.
It is the coolest thing in a ballpark. To me, though, the wave is not intimidating. If anything, I feel like it tells your players we're not really paying attention to you and we're just trying to aesthetically make all of our hands look in sync. I don't know. It's stupid. Anyway, Russ, your thoughts on the World Series? You having fun?
Yeah, there for game 1 and game 2. That game 1, what a perfect opening to the World Series. You had the D-backs that for most of that game looked like they were going to take game 1, surprise a lot of people. And then in the moment when you need them up there, Corey Seager come through with a big-time homer in the 9th inning. Adolis Garcia doing what he's continued to do all postseason, turn himself into a true star. It's been a lot of fun. And then not only do, the Rangers win game 1, you have the D-backs come back in game 2, you get punched in the mouth, lose a heartbreaker late in that game where you have, Kevin Ginkel, give up a little bit of damage for the first time we've seen. You see Paul Sewald giving up a homer, hadn't allowed a run in the postseason, and they can come back, they respond and say, all right, last night was last night. Let's come out here today and got themselves a win. Now you get to go back to Arizona in your building. That crowd's going to be crazy as well. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. And I think you have two teams that are different in that you have the Texas Rangers that are, offensive minded. They want to hit the ball at the ballpark, want to get on base. And you have the D-backs that they want to get on base too. They want to run the bases. They want to try to, wreak havoc on the base pass, what we saw them do game 6 and 7 in the NLCS. and they started doing that in game 1 and 2 in the World Series as well. It's been fun to watch, and I think we're probably going to see a series that goes 6 or 7.
Are the Diamondbacks the better team right now in this series? Essentially, they had both games won.
You can make the argument that they should be up 2-0 right now, right? I think they probably went home and said, "Man, we should be up. We were 2 outs away from locking up game 1. We won game 2 big and going into our house with the 2-0 lead." Are they the better team? Ask me again on Thursday, because I think I'm interested. I don't know if I can say it yet. I don't know if I can say that yet, because the series is tied at 1. And while you can say, yes, the D-backs should be up 2-0, you can also say, hey, the Rangers came back in that game and won it in game 1, and then they had a clunker in game 2 that was actually pretty close until the 7th inning when the D-backs put it out of reach. So I can't necessarily say it yet that the D-backs are the better team. And that's no disrespect.
Russ, for me, I'm trying to figure out always what the industry learns about what they're seeing, because it is a copycat league, and that's fine. So sure, you can look at Texas and say, hey, maybe we should go for it and spend a little and not take, a billion years to tank and then build ourselves back up. With Arizona, it's a difference in the way that the game is being played in 2023, and you're seeing instant dividends on that front with their embrace chaos, run, make more contact. They're bunting like it's 1992. So do you think that this will be mimicked in the offseason? They will look for players of this style and even take it to the draft too, right? I mean, will Corbin Carroll, will that skill set make it into the middle of the first round anymore just because maybe he's undersized?
I think I look at a couple of things. I think to your point about the D-backs and how they play the game, I think with the way the rules have changed, you guys were kind of talking about it in your A block there with, being aggressive against the guy who has the best arm behind the plate in all of baseball, and JT Realmuto. And they were just like, we don't care. Like in game 6 and 7, they said, this is how we play our game. And if we're going to go out, we're going to go out playing our game. And they ended up being in the World Series. I'm surprised more teams didn't do it throughout this postseason and were aggressive. You've seen it here and there, but I do think as the years go by, speed is going to be something that's very important that clubs look at, that teams look at. As far as what the industry learned, I think something that coming into the series, looking at how the D-backs have been built and how the Rangers have been built, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Like you can be the Rangers and say, all right, we're going to throw $500 million at Corey Seager and Marcus Semien to be our middle infield for the next 10 years. Or you can say, well, if you're the D-backs, all right, we don't feel like we have the resources that a team like Texas does, but we have to be really smart and make some shrewd trades where we give up a guy in Dalton Varsho who is an elite defender, a guy who can play any of the 3 outfield positions, play behind the plate if you needed them to. And we're going to get this young kid in Gabriel Moreno, who's going to be our catcher of the future and hit third for us in the World Series. We're going to go get Lourdes Gurriel Jr. We're going to, keep Ketel Marte, for who a long time people were saying, why is Ketel Marte still in Arizona with the D-backs, right? You're able to develop Christian Walker into not only one of the better power hitters in baseball, but one of the best defenders in baseball, right? The play you made the other day, ball hits the bag, makes a barehanded play. Like you're getting to see all the tools of a Christian Walker there. I think teams are going to look at that way like, okay, we can spend a lot of money and make it to the World Series. Obviously, the Rangers are showing us that. And I know there were a lot of people said, oh, the Padres and the Mets, they're not in there. They spent more money than anybody. Well, the Rangers did too, and they're in the World Series. But you can also say, hey, can you draft well? Can you develop players internally? Can you make the right trade to bring in the right talent from other orgs, put them on your roster, and then develop those guys into being productive everyday players for you?
You were in Texas, right? You were in Arlington?
Yeah, for game 1 and 2, yeah.
Okay, so give me something that you really loved about the experience there and something that you did not love. And I'll give you something just from observing. Our guy Michael on social was out there in Arlington, and he did one of those fast forward looks at the line for the team store about an hour before the game. And we're in Orlando. There's some long lines down here. I think that was longer. I think there were a lot of people there that might have been waiting until the end of the game, and probably half that line left. I was like, how the fuck do they make a line this long and not have some alternative scenario at a new ballpark?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I was shocked. It's a new ballpark.
Best part, it's the World Series though, right? Like that would be the only, if I'm playing devil's advocate, it's the World Series. You have more people in that ballpark than had ever been there in game 2. Sold out crowd, standing room only. I'm not necessarily shocked by that. The thing I love, that was my first time at Global Life Field. I'd been to the old ballpark. I went to college, at Oral Roberts in Tulsa. It's only 4 hours away. Drove down with some friends during college and watched the games there. Really cool ballpark. Being in the new ballpark, you don't realize that place is massive, right? And you really have to get adjusted to sound there, where you're going to hear something off the bat because it's so cavernous. And you're like, okay, that ball was crushed. It has to be like in the second deck. And it doesn't even make it to the warning track. So just noticing how ballparks are different and the vibe in there, roof closed with 40,000 plus in there. Like that memory of Seager hitting that homer in game 1 is something I'll never forget. Very similar to Bryce Harper hitting the homer in the NLCS in Philly last year. Those two are very similar for me. Just like you're getting the purest excitement, thrill of those fan bases in their home ballpark. And that was really cool for me.
Hey, Mr. Don't Pass line. Did you happen to go up in the press box?
I was there.
Could you see the players? Because the one miss at that ballpark, the players are about yay big when you're in the TV box. I mean, they are like it's like Washington. I mean,
no, Washington's worse.
I don't know,
it's higher. Washington is
Texas
way up
is so
there.
high,
dude. Washington is a joke.
Washington is the high. I feel like it's the highest in baseball. Where you on the press level are below where we were in like the press box, right? So you have the broadcast level, and then above that is where like the rest of the media were, and it was up there, but I felt that Washington is still the highest ballpark, highest press box, and view in all of baseball.
I don't know, dude.
I don't
Pittsburgh's up there too. Pittsburgh's
high, but at least Pittsburgh, you can look out over the city, right?
For sure.
Washington, you're looking at not really
DC,
nothing.
They're basically saying they decided, hey, you're here, but you're not really here. You know what I mean? Like, just watch the TV. You're here because you're going to talk to the players before and after the game and the coaches and whatever. But, like, as far as the game is concerned, just watch the TV.
Yeah. Watch the monitor.
Calling the game in DC, I was definitely – I'm not a guy that liked to look at the monitor. Like, I like to look at what was going on. And in DC, I definitely had to look at the monitor to make sure what I was seeing was what I was actually seeing.
You have no perception on anything. It's like, picture you're, at the Empire State Building and someone's playing baseball on the street and you look down and you have to call the game.
Also, Derek brings up a good point. The camera angle in Arlington is a little strange from where you normally are used to watching it. I don't know if it's higher or more straight on.
Offset,
but it's something's like different about it.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, they're never right behind. Everyone always thinks they're right behind. They're always offset. They're always usually to the right. But this one either feels higher or more offset.
It does look different.
It just looks
different.
And the lighting,
it looks international.
Yeah, you're right. And the lighting in Arizona kind of has it too if the roof's closed. Like the lighting in there is like a little bit, I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit off.
I agree.
I mean, listen, it was great games and people are happy. So what can you say?
I have a question because the commissioner spoke for a while, and we'll ask Ken and some others about this when we get to them later. The one I wanted to ask you about quite simply on this topic is playoff format. So he said, it'll at least motivate a conversation about whether we have it right. So it sounded like, for the most part, I'll paraphrase because there's way too much to read here from his quotes, that he felt and the league feels like it's pretty much on par. They like what they've seen so far with this new playoff format. I'll take one part here. That's kind of how baseball playoffs are, and frankly, how I think they should be. If the die was cast, meaning that if I win 100 in the regular season, I'm going to win the World Series, I don't think that's as interesting as what we have witnessed over the last month. And MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark said that they had proposed alternative postseason formats the league wasn't interested in during the last round of bargaining. So I still have ideas for little tweaks. We've talked about a couple of them, but I generally think we're in a pretty good spot. I think like teams are just going to have to catch up to the Rangers and Diamondbacks and create teams that are built for the postseason.
I'm with that. And I think it's something we talked about since the start of the postseason when the D-backs really got on their role here and when the Braves got knocked out of the postseason, where it's just like, play better. I think that's where I'm at. I understand the idea of there should be an incentive for being the best team in the league that year. I get that, right? So do you only allow one team to have the bye? Do you shorten the days off during the bye? Like instead of 5 days, it's 3 days. Does that make it better? But I always feel like somebody or a team is going to have, or fans are going to have a gripe about what you tweet. I just think for me, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the norm going forward, right? Like next year, we could play the thing out again, and you have the top 4 teams by seeding in the CS, right? Like I think I would like to see it for a couple years before I make a rash judgment and say, nope, change the whole thing. I think because you have an 84-win team in the World Series, people want to just say, nope, scrap it all, let's change it. I'd be interested after 3 or 4 years if we feel the same way.
I agree. It's been 2 years of this format. 3 years? 2 years or 3 years of this format?
I think it's 2.
2 years of this format, right? We're already and listen, who had more off days going to the LCS? Diamondbacks had an extra day, they won. Yeah. Rangers had an extra day, they won. They weren't complaining about having an extra day off.
Some of it also has to do with, like, can you put the team in a position where they don't have as much, of an advantage with their starters, right? Like,
there's no way to do that unless you give them days off. There's really no way to do that unless, I mean, the way, here's the thing. And then going to the World Series, the Rangers had an extra day off, and they won game 1, and they got to line up their pitching the way they wanted, and nobody was complaining. And if they lose, they're going to say, well, we had 4 days off instead of 3 days off like the Diamondbacks. No. Like, I'm so sick of this argument.
I don't think it's the days off thing. It's just, is there anything that bothers you
it's
about
baseball.
The format?
It's baseball. It's not football.
The players
it's not
aren't complaining.
It's you. Don't pass, guys.
The players are not complaining. It's the homer writers that are complaining.
No, I have a legit complaint.
No, I'm not talking about you, Russ. I'm not talking about you.
I have a complaint. I'm complaining, okay? The season, I'm going to tell you this, okay? I could have baseball year-round and be happy. But the week that the season ends is dumb. We started on a Friday on a weekend. People watch more during the week. And I know you don't want to go up against football, but that's mostly Sunday, okay? So we start Friday, Saturday of Halloween weekend. We're trying to reach a younger demographic, a younger age, okay? You know what people are doing between like 18 and 36 years old or whatever on Friday and Saturday night, many of them? They're out partying for Halloween. And then now we're going to go into this week when it's legit Halloween on a Tuesday, and all the little kids with their parents are going around town, and you're missing World Series games again. Just feel like we're playing it wrong. Like, can we do this 1 week sooner? Can we figure that out? And if we have to do 154 games and have a longer DS or something like that to make up for the money, that's fine. I just think this week is dumb. I'm telling you, there's so many people in my life that are like, oh, World Series? And they would watch it if it was like an average weekend, but it's not. No? Maybe this is just my world that I'm observing, but I'm around a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that are like, why do they have it on Halloween?
They're also on mushrooms and acid, and they don't really know what the World Series is.
It has nothing to do with that.
Not acid. Oh, shoot.
Go to downtown Tampa, go to downtown Orlando this weekend.
2 weeks from now, dude, 2 weeks from now, you're going to be in heaven.
EDC.
Sorry, Russ. EDC here, Russ.
Wait,
you coming?
Stay on course.
I am not.
Do you not agree with this? You think it's fine?
Well, okay, they didn't want to go. Okay, so
we're trying to reach a younger
according to Fox, obviously I work for Fox, but they want Friday, Saturday because they don't want to go up against football.
That's fine, but the week before, this weekend is a bad weekend to have a World Series.
But you got to move the season up, which nobody wants to do.
Everyone wants to do that.
So move the season up a week. The players don't want to do that. That means they got to start spring training a week earlier.
No, spring training's too fucking long.
Well, okay, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they started around April 1st. They're going to start like March 24th
in warm weather cities.
People are going to
in retractable.
Yeah, here we go. See,
situation.
This is why it doesn't work unless you cut the season down.
Pinnacle of the season is Halloween. I'm just telling you, it's a bad holiday.
What's amazing though is if you look at years past before they added the extra round, like the Cardinals Rangers great World Series ended the week before, right? Everything used to end before Halloween. But now we've pushed everything so far back. We've added more off days because Kratz's generation needed more off days. Load management.
I mean, do you guys think that? I mean, Russ, we're close enough in age. How many people in your world, especially if they're not like the biggest baseball fans in the world, were not paying attention to the World Series because they had extracurriculars going on?
Listen, man, the streets were hot this weekend, and your boy was covering baseball, which I love to do. It is my job. It's why I'm talking to you guys. But you make some points, Scott. Like I do think people, their sole focus was not on the World Series. And that sucks because it's been a great start to the World Series. Do I think you could maybe start the postseason the day after the season ends? Sure. I think that gets some of the stuff that you're talking about, Scott, where you push it up by a few days and maybe instead of having a game 3 start, today, maybe worst case scenario, you have a game 7 around Halloween weekend. But I don't think anybody's going to be happy.
You
as
can't
far as
start
that
it,
goes
though, the day after, because let's say the Marlins had to play the Mets that extra game.
Well, how about just be better, grounds crew?
But I'm just saying, what happens if there's a rain out in April, and they're like, well, we don't play them again, it's never going to matter, and one of the teams just happens to be half a game out, 162, and they got to play, and it determines the playoffs. You've got to have that built-in off day. You have to have it for the travel. You just have to.
What about the day after the wild card?
You still have to have some travel.
Nah, just travel right after the game. You guys are soft.
I don't necessarily love that either.
Yeah. What about the poor people that work these games?
What about the writers?
Yeah.
Everyone's fine.
We're not flying private.
I can't because
there's been canceled. There's been rainouts. I'm part of rainouts every year in the past in the postseason, and then we just have to get on 6 a.m. flights and get to the next.
But here's my problem. Like for the first game, for me, I don't know where I'm going sometimes until the series before me ends. So if it went 3 games, and so let's say it's LA and New York are playing, and I go to the winner, and I don't know until that night at midnight.
Oh no! AJ doesn't know where he's flying. So what?
Okay, then let's say the flight gets canceled.
Wait. First of all,
there's a million things that it doesn't work.
No, you're wrong.
All right, we got a break.
Wait, lastly, just to dispute that point, the wild card is going to play the next round in the same place because the other team gets the home field advantage. So you know where you're going already. Do you get what I'm saying? Wild card round, you win. You're playing in LA, right?
No, but sometimes the matchups may determine where I go.
Not for the wild card, though.
For the DS, though, it does.
Okay. Well, I didn't say DS.
I'm talking about me. Let's talk about me. You want to talk about I?
I'm so worried about AJ's TV schedule. Russ, good talking to you. We'll catch you later this week.
See you guys.